Scott Bywater here, and in this session I'd like to talk about the whole concept of bottlenecks and what they mean from a time management sort of perspective. Now, when I say bottlenecks, what I'm referring to is, I guess, if you can picture a log in a river and all these leaves stopped at the log because they can't get past it. Now, if we could just kick that log, give that log a kick and get it out of the way, all those leaves could continue to flow down the river. And that's what I mean when I use the concept of bottlenecks. Now, if you can now imagine your goals as those leaves. So all your goals. So let's say your goals to build a business, to take your business to the next level, to earn more money, that sort of thing. And you've got this one big goal of growing your business and taking it to the next level, and that's a leaf being held back by that log. Now, until you move that bottleneck, which is that log blocking that leaf, your business is not going to go and take it, and go to the next level. So that's what we're talking about today. So I really sort of understood this concept when I read a book called Goal by Eli Goldratt. Now, that book is it's actually a book about the whole manufacturing process. But it's highly valuable, for business owners, because it really, it tells it in a story format and really outlines and explains the importance of removing bottlenecks so things can go to the next level. Because if you look at your business, it really is just like a manufacturing plant. If you're all your time, for example, within my business, I've had, one of the challenges is balancing, let's say, client work with building my own business. So there's this constant to and fro for that for many years. And what would happen is I would throw all my energy, or I was throwing all my energy into client work, and I wasn't focusing on building my own business. So what was happening is, because I couldn't just put a little bit of time into building my own business, then I was like, my goal of building my own business was like the leaf being blocked by the log that was in the that was in the way, and that was really stopping me from moving forward. If you like, it's like having one particular product being produced on a manufacturing in a manufacturing process, and because that product is so is there's so much of that product going through, there's not a chance for another product to actually go through. So you'll grasp this more and more as I go through it, because it really it became quite apparent. A few years ago, I had a meeting with my accountant, and I'd never been busier in my business life. I'd been very, very busy, and every year was getting busier, and very successful compared with the way I perceive myself, sort of, or perceive what I wanted to achieve 5, 6, 7 years earlier. But I sat down with the accountant, and we went through the last few years' revenue, and I just looked at them and I thought, there's no, they're virtually the same. So there might have been a 5-10% discrepancy year on year, but there was no big, there wasn't any big jumps like there was in the earlier periods of my business. And I thought to myself, well, I sort of reflected on Albert Einstein's statement that the definition of an insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I considered I needed to do something different. And one of the challenges, obviously, with I guess selling the time for money, while it can be very lucrative and very worthwhile, one of the challenges with it is that you're always in a position where when you're selling time for money, you're always sort of in a position where you don't have scale. And one of the most important things I think in business is scale. For example, if I create a newsletter, I can sell that newsletter. I can have 150 people receiving that newsletter. I can have 250 people receiving that newsletter. I can have 500 people receiving that newsletter. I can have 5,000 or 50,000 people receiving that newsletter. If you look at, say, a company like Apple, they can sell millions of the iPhones. Whereas in let's say, a consulting type business, you're more limited. So I thought, well, let's step out and create things that I can scale. Things like coaching programs where I can be coaching, 30, 50, 100, 150 people, all at the same time. Things where there's more opportunity, obviously, for that scale. So, and as I've done that, the revenue has jumped, and the business has become, a lot more stable. And the reason I tell you this, as I'm going through it, is because I like to share my own story and my own struggles with this whole concept of bottlenecks, so you can really grasp how you can do it for yourself. So, because what you want to do, one of the best principles I can give you for this is these three words. And this, because what often happens within a business, within any business, is you can often get so busy doing, let's say, the work, that you forget to do the money. And this is in any business, even if you're in retail, or even if you're a consultant, if you're selling products, whatever it is, you can get so busy doing what you're doing, delivering, and making sure that you deliver, that you forget this one. And these three words are always be marketing. And what you want to do is you want to schedule times, because the marketing is what creates the growth. And therefore, what you want to do is you want to schedule time on a daily basis, even if you're busy, even if everything is crazy. Can you make a phone call to a client? Can you just call a client and say, hey, how are things? Can you send out an email? Can you send out a letter? Can you do something so that you're always marketing, so that you're always on top of things, so that you're always promoting your business, because that's what you want to be doing. So it's happened before where I've received an email from a client. They were interested in doing work, and then they got a job coming, and they're like, oh no, I don't need any help now. I'm all set. And it's like, well, you're all set for today. You're all set for tomorrow. But what happens, a week from now? What happens, a month from now? What happens 3 months from now? What happens 6 months from now? If you don't have those marketing systems and those marketing processes in place, you can literally, you can lose, you're going to be constantly going back to that position. So you want to implement systems in place to ensure that, you've always got, a full well of clients, customers, and business coming through. It's a whole thing of fill the well while it's not empty. So continually filling the well, bringing those, doing what you need to do to bring those customers in on a continuous and ongoing basis. That's what you want to be, what you want to be doing. So how do you do this? Well, one of the best ways to do it, I believe, is to schedule some time at the beginning of the day, just to do marketing. And I like the beginning of the day because I believe it's the whole marketing thing is one of the most important things that you can do. To help you get more customers, I'm giving away a free gift to everyone who watches this video. It's a brand new guide called 7 Ways to Get More Traffic and Customers, which includes a swag of cheat sheets for getting results fast. Download it for free by clicking the link in the description below this video or visiting moretrafficandcustomers.com.